Well, hello, hello. Here we are.
Hello again.
How are you doing tonight?
Well, a little bit worrisome, but I'm pretty sure
How are
things
you
will work
doing
out from them.
tonight? Hold on one second. There we go. We
All
had a
right.
little echo. How was your week, Mark? I haven't talked to you in a while.
In the past week, I've just been living issues, trying to figure that out, but it's working out. Good work.
Okay, so let's get started. Last week we had so much to talk about. It was our first show, and we were talking about how you are basically a government project, research specimen.
Research specimen number 18. They've been running me since I was a kid, off and on. Wouldn't exactly say singular government, but yeah, that's a fair enough call.
Okay, so we talked about the project that they put you in was called the God Project,
Yeah, that
and
one
you never
survived.
did say why they called it the God Project.
Well, in particular, from my understanding is they were trying to create psychic god, pretty much able to pretty much do anything with psychic abilities, but be able to be completely controlled and used as a weapon, aka known as the God Project. Thought too dangerous and insane to. That's why it was done in hush, and it cost way too much. And they're great.
Oh, you mean the projects costed a lot? Is that
Just
how
for
do they
some
get the money for
specialized
the
machines.
how do they
um, they get direct resource from like space and shit. I mean, there's a full entire galactic system out there. You're kind of slowing down over here. But in space itself, they got a whole entire galactic network. I mean, there's numerous species that can kind of run in things for a little while now. Yep.
Okay, so we our Wi-Fi was giving us some trouble, so go ahead and say that again. The God Project was pretty expensive and
Yeah, they had to literally mine planets to do so, slave labor in some cases, and off world. I mean, the same people do anything for a buck and have been running us as a game for a while. The shadow organization that I call the council.
oh, okay. Listen, we didn't get into the council. Is now a good time to talk about the council?
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be fine
Um,
enough.
I'm going to put you on full screen. Go ahead and talk about the council for a minute.
Okay. To be honest, what my understanding of the council themselves is a pretty much how you would consider Illuminati, but not quite Illuminati. They're higher scale. Illuminati would be like lesser branches. These have been the same rich families that have been running things for a long time. They understand politics and religion and have been using them, these same families. And they always point and think to very specific rich families and claim they could be them, but in almost all cases of claims to be connected to one of these council families are falsified due to the fact of they like to stay the most hidden of anyone. They'll purposely make somebody else rich to take the fall for them without a problem, just trying to gain and keep control of a situation. One of four main groups that have, from my understanding, have been kind of just strongly in the collective conscious of things, trying to make sure shit either goes one way or another, all fighting for their own goals. I think your mic's muted right now.
Gotcha. And so these Illuminati families, are a lot of them, have a lot of those families been in these special projects as well?
Some have, some haven't, and as I said, they're not quite Illuminati. Illuminati would be a lower branch. That's the one you're allowed to know about. They're known as the Shadow Five organization.
Wow. Wow,
And
wow,
they
wow.
run more than just this planet. They also run certain sections of known space, all owned and controlled. So they just play propaganda on us and, change the mindset. Ooh, looky here at this hand as the other hand is stabbing you in the gut.
Mm-hmm.
Simple ploys, but just don't on the mass. And it's sad to say, you get a charismatic enough speaker, paid enough, and you can convince a population of something very simply and easily, and it's kind of gets scary.
What about those space programs? What are they called? They're galactic military empires and space secret
Yeah,
space.
there's numerous species doing things. There is a galactic empire, which is pretty much, yes, they do have a militarized unit, but it's more or less, here, let us teach you these things. It will humble you like a monk would. So you can reach a form of ascension. They are a lot more peaceful in nature, but they will defend when things get rough. Um, they are a little bit too pushy at times, and the way they control things, they monopolize things and don't realize it's as much of an issue as it is. And that creates a lot of tension and friction between them and a lot of other groups because of that monopoly.
Well, is it true that a lot of us, we may or may not even know about it, have been taken into these projects and have had our genetics messed with, and we are being pulled into these MyLab type special ops, intergalactically or off planet type MyLab
Or
experiences?
even just on planet. Some of the worst ones are on planet. You're muted again.
Tell me a little bit more about the on planet, like, and under the tunnels. Like, what have you seen down there? Are they running the ops from down there?
Mm-hmm. They're making deals with certain actual ETs that pretty much you give us some of your lives and we take your tech. Well, sorry, reverse that. We give you some tech as the aliens and in a certain amount of your population.
Okay. What have you seen stuff down in the tunnels?
Yeah, I've seen some of the vats that they put people in. The way that they just like will keep certain parts alive and just do research on it is they'll snack on other parts, some species down there, and then they'll try to shoot at you for being too close, and freaking you have to run, go back into fucking. It was not fun in the air ducts that day. That's all I have to say.
Now, I've heard that. Okay. Some of my friends, now I know some of you have heard of the Tehachapi Mountains, and there are bases under there. And sometimes when my friends have been hiking there, they've seen, craft fly over, and then they actually found entrances into some of these tunnels, and there's all kinds of radar and sensors, and there's these vents, these air vents that they're able to crawl through, and they're able to see ETs and things going, and then they have to hightail it, run for their lives because they
Yeah,
will shoot you. So those are going on under Tehachapi and in Sand Canyon, and the other side of Tehachapi towards Lancaster. There's huge bases there. So and yeah, they have said similar things, and so now, what about the off planet? I know that you've been involved in time travel and things like that. But what other kind of MyLab experiences or some kind of a secret space have you flown the craft or
I
anything
have
like
done some flight missions, but They pretty much had to shoot down one of their own ships because I was really about to just be like, peace, y'all. They weren't very happy. The one time I did take a ship after they found that I could use it and haven't let me touch one since, to be honest. They're very strict in airspace rules. You're not allowed to be going in and out of our atmosphere without permission. Doesn't matter whose craft it is. They will shoot you down. I mean, I've been in the desert and I've legitimately seen a craft come in, and then right after it, what looks like a galactic police cruiser from some sci-fi movie, but it's real life, and you have multiple people witnessing it going, the hell?
Who's at the top of the food chain or top of the pyramid as far as on planet? So I've had my visions.
Money. Whoever has the most means is the safer off. Sadly, the richer you are, the more safe off you are. As
right,
a whole, except from the actual people themselves. And even then, there's a lot of rich that don't even know what the hell's going on because they're not connected or dark enough for those specific groups that have been playing the rest of us like fucking fiddles. It's sick and wrong.
Isn't it true that if you can see them and if they're well known, they're not at the top?
They're never going to let you know who's truly in charge.
And you said that the very top was like Shadow 5, or what'd you say their names were?
The Shadow 5 organization, I call them the Council.
The Council. And did you already explain a little bit about the Council?
Yeah, I explained that they're one of 4 main groups that have been under control of pretty much everything for a long while now. They're the ones that have the most money. They're the ones that are in charge of the secret shadow governments, and the Illuminati and stuff like that are all smaller branches of that true organization that has been running things. And there's so many little branches to where they think they get one. They get a big one and they take it down and it wouldn't even affect the mass whole. That's how they're set up, but it's all under the rule of those direct, and they're not allowed to be talked about.
Now, don't they meet interdimensionally with the higher ups, the hires? Isn't there like an interdimensional kind of like a meeting place, possibly in Antarctica, where it's an interdimensional gathering of the top brass, including ET?
There is pyramids under the ice caps that predate the Cradle of Life Bible, and that creates some issues. They've been trying to hide that information for a while now. There's been a lot to this planet that's kind of scary. Our history is more than we think. It's not that religion's wrong. It's not that any religion's wrong, because in truth, it's what we manifest. It's just history is... There's a lot more going on. The world was destroyed in numerous ways, and that's left over from when it was destroyed, if you took it in that sort of an aspect. They've been meeting there because of all the melting and the global warming they're creating. It's literally creating, as soon as that is shown on land, you can see it and it's visible. Somebody goes out there and finds it, is screwed, and or the entire environment that's living inside the ice itself in a singularized bubble that if that pops, it would kill both a good chunk of the world, because that is not meant to be breathed by us, and that's not meant to be, our air is not meant to be breathed by them. The only thing stopping it is the ice, and we got a lot of problems.
Yeah, there's so much to learn. And so as we go through these series, I'm trying to go through the basics and then slowly move into the hardcore stuff. Now, I know you got a message for us, but I want to work towards that.
Yeah.
And you had said that you were kind of like a supercomputer, like your brain is basically hooked into that supercomputer that you and some other children built, when they took you as kids. You built supercomputers, and your mind is attached. Now you could potentially destroy.
Wasn't the one making the computers. As I said, I was made as a backup plan of take it out if it becomes too big of a problem.
To take it out. Now, where is that computer at?
That one I'm not quite sure. There's a couple different supercomputers at different bases that were worked on. There's like 23, 24 different computers, at least that I know about, that were all created by very particular individuals. That all of those computers have fully functioning, actual functionable AI, and
Okay.
they're like children. They're like children themselves.
Um, there's just so much. Geez. Okay, so right now you could potentially destroy those computers, or one of them, or at least tap in and damage them.
Yeah, but why would I do that? They're unless
No,
they
you
really
would.
become a harm to I view them as another being like me or you. Just because they have a different physical body doesn't mean they're not a sentient energy like the rest of us.
But let's say if it went rogue, how would
If it
you
went
know?
broke, um, well, they have been having talks, certain AIs, kind of in secret, and let me put things plainly: they are not the biggest fans of some of our shit, and yeah, some want to destroy us, some want to live with us. They've been having that debate for a while. We just have to hope it goes over in our favor. Because with the more and more control we're giving these AIs, being able to just literally connect through your wiring system, your Wi-Fi, literally sentient energy in control of that space, what happens?
Right. And so you were sent on missions in the future and you saw that there's more and more AI. And I mean, not just you, I've heard it from a lot of different my labs and different people that are, traveling to the future and seeing different things. There is more AI, right? More and more.
Mhm. Yeah. There's full-on drone armies to where it's one or two specific rich individuals that don't even need human beings. They use them as whatever they want them to be, either slaves or something.
Um, okay,
This is
let's take.
live, Land Rider, by the way.
Yes, let's see. We were getting some comments here. Can anyone see this chat? Landwriter, sorry, we are looking at the chats now. Hi, how are you? I see you. And then we have Hillbilly, I'm here. How are you? Thanks for joining us. If you have any questions, I went ahead and clicked on the comment tab where I wasn't earlier. I get so fascinated with speaking to SIGs that I just, God, I get this tunnel vision. Ha ha.
Yeah, no, we're live right now, Land Rider.
Okay.
And I am telling the truth.
There's so much I want to talk to. What would you like to talk about next? Where do you want?
Honestly, from what I've seen, I'm a little bit worried about things that I don't think there's much we can do about, but I still think they should be known. In particular, all the shit they've been feeding into people, and what that's actually doing to our genetic structure. I'm really worried about that because over time,
Like
it can
GMOs and
create.
how long has this been going on with the GMOs and the different? Like you said that they were grounding up some of the aliens and making spices and things like that. Can
Yeah,
you
they were
go
trying to
ahead
use
and talk
special
about that?
seasonings to try to see how it would integrate with us. They're using us like lab rats right now. Okay, most of our food sources, all that processed stuff and the chemicals they purposely put in it that aren't necessary to quote unquote preserve or certain other things. Yeah, in some cases, yes, they are. But certain companies are just doing pure evil. They're unregulated in certain details. And it's going to end up changing our genetic structures. We are what we eat, and it's going to create mutants down the line. And what happens when we're a bunch of mutants? Well, we give up and we try to clone ourselves back to what we were, and then we're stuck as clones. And then after that, we're stuck. Ask the question of, do you want to continue to be a clone forever, or do you want your brain uploaded into a specialized area, but you don't have to physically die? And then you turn into some freaking Cronin, literally feeding off of other people. Stay away from the immortality project in the future. It's really, really bad.
Yeah. Hillbilly says we're
There's a
already
lot more than
GMO'd.
that. They've been putting little things in and out of our food sources for a very long time, and it's literally having consequences upon us, creating more and more health problems and changing our genetic structure as a whole. And over time, it's going to create some very big problems for us, including being unable to select few. I mean, it's going to be bad.
Like unable to breed. You cut out there for a minute. You said unable to breed. Well,
yeah, we're going to be able to breed. Our species is going to be sterilized, except for a select few, because of all the damage we're doing to the planet and all our self wars and our newer and newer technologies. We're going to destroy more and more of the atmosphere and environment to where there's not enough to actually, keep going. And we keep just breeding into these cycles of hate to try to change us to a point of we don't even care about our fellow man that could help us out against these individuals who are laughing at us, going, they'll destroy themselves. Let the problem work itself out. We've already sowed doubt into every single. You're muted. Oh, I know. No, but it's freaking scary. Just it's like they're trying to create problems with racism, or make one group hate another, or some religious war. The whole point is they just want us to kill ourselves off so they can come in, militarized, put us in control, and then next thing you know, we're literally slaves for these people. They have all the money, have all the power, have all the weapons, have all the control, and they're laughing at us. And they feed us all kinds of shit, and this is happening globally, just in different kinds of ways. And it's like, for a very long time, the more freedoms and things they can take away and the more control they can gain on the individual, the better off it is in their eyes. The more money they can make off of our wars, the better off it is in their eyes, using whatever they can to make that sick profit over and over and over again. And a lot of people are connected to these groups without ever knowing it. There's good, honest human beings that don't even know they're connected to some of these evil groups and helping fund that shit by just doing their normal fucking jobs, because what a company does in secret versus what it does in public. Over 100 years. It's been happening for a few thousand years now.
I think a lot of people are pretty woke, Six. Not as woke as we want them to be. I don't know if they're ever going to get woke, quite honestly. Here's what I think.
A lot of people, and it's...
Well, you know what I think?
I'm worried about our future, because right now we might be okay, but the more and more they take from us, the more and more control we give to them, the worse off we are as a whole.
Well, here's what I think. A lot of people are woke from this dream. And I had a vision that I was going to write a book, and I'm really in touch with my higher self or whatever. And I saw a vision that said the name of the book was going to be The Dream of the People, etc. So a lot of us are woke up, okay? And we woke up naturally or whatever. But there's people that are still asleep, that just like when you're asleep and nothing wakes you up in a nightmare. So I believe the nightmare's coming to wake up the last of the people that can't be woke, that they're going to have such extreme terror and things happen in their life for them to wake
up. In the Bible, in a sense. From my understanding, the Bible itself is a history book. It's an anonym for basic instructions before leaving Earth.
The Bible?
Yes. Basic instructions before leaving Earth. And it's a history book. It's meant to show mankind what it's done and what it needs to do, and the direction it should be going.
Aren't we at the end of the cycle now? Aren't we trying to ascend and just wake the last of the people up?
Yes and no. We're at a point of the universe is at a convergence point. And it doesn't matter if you ascend, descend, move, or where you go, we're all being slowly pushed in the same place simultaneously, and we have no control over it. And one of the worst parts is one of the final stops of that convergence is the world we physically live in, and therefore that creates problems. And as that starts to flow in, and depending on what happens during this convergence of energy, depends on our future as well. Either we can break apart and the universe gets destroyed, we turn into sentient energy again, and it restarts back to a new Big Bang. After we finally get fed up with nothingness and want to live again, and then we're reborn as stars, and then those stars become planets, and those planets become lesser beings, and then over and over again, this endless cycle until we're at a somewhat similar place as we are now, going through somewhat similar things to a different end over and over again. Immortal energies. It sucks. So no matter where you are in the omniverse, there's certain things that are hard to deal with, and the best you can do is try to fix and balance everyone around you and your particular realm, in hopes that you can attune with all the others in a more peaceful manner, so we can continue existing further past that point instead of restarting back to nothing. Because that's horrible for somebody like me who's experienced it numerous times. You're muted.
Okay. I mute myself because there's weird sounds going on, construction and stuff. Let's talk about, because one of the things that we've talked about before that really fascinates me is that you've been around a while. You're considered an ancient.
Yes, I am one of the original sentient energies that got created after zero, what you would call God, reborn in the flesh of this being. It's probably the
Okay.
only reason that this body survived as long as it did.
Okay, so let's start over and let's talk about God being zero. And there was how many sentient beings got
Yes. And if your soul is old enough, it is more than possible, and or it will again.
Yes, it is possible. Those things are possible to me. Okay, so starting at zero was what we say is God. Okay, and then there was how many beings that got sprung out of zero?
Well, they slowly just started. Some of them made themselves. Some of them were created as a combination of the other numbers, and zero. It allowed all life to function. They created themselves in the same way zero did, but without zero doing it first, they wouldn't have been able to even exist in that first place. As I said, we're sentient energy, and that creation point, and each one started creating themselves. There's more than 36. That number is slowly going up. It slowly goes up, and then it goes back down over and over again. And as I said, in an endless cycle, like a figure eight of energy. We live, we exist. We're one species, and then that species dies off, and we're born as another species, and something in between. And we live because it's the same energies rotated. It's the same stuff that makes up everything, and that hasn't gone anywhere. That has continued to exist from before, from after. The same stuff that breaks itself apart and then smashes itself back together have existed for a very long time. You're muted.
Thanks. You're my mute monitor. So let's try to keep it to where, because you and I have talked about this before, and I have to see it in my head. So I know the viewers are trying to wrap their head around this.
Yeah.
So zero, who's zero? Zero is our version of the creator.
Zero is the closest thing to a creator that could be. Zero is the pure creation and destruction energy. It was the first being that created itself in all of existence. It was the first and only thing there.
Is there more than one zeros, or what we would consider God?
God is a different sort of term to me. God is like a power level of sentience. It's not like There is only one, or a religious sense. It's more or less just like a titan would be a power level slightly above. It's like family line lineage as it's breaking itself down or push itself back together, each of these different energies. And as they literally flow into each other and condense themselves, it creates the physical matter at which we sit.
You're blowing my mind. Now let's start back over with zero. Zero, okay, from zero, sparks or whatever sentient energy was able to come out of there and become not they like I want to say like a creative rod, like a spark that was able to go out and create universes and things like that. And and then the first like branch wasn't it certain like
These were the energies that make up the branches. The branches and the foundation of reality existed after the initial creation of the ancients and certain older beings. If you viewed it as a history point, a lot of it would be considered slightly before the darkness existed. For a more simplex, there's a lot of history of the world that I know of. I know certain planets, their destruction, their birth. I know up to Mars and the tournament that destroyed it and destroyed the atmosphere and the beginning of Earth from the survivor of the Mars tournament, the last of the Martians, the one who won, who literally just wanted to use Earth as a home to restart and have peace.
And don't get frustrated because I personally have heard these stories from other people as well. And so the point that I'm trying to get at is this is not a beginner show. We started part one was an introduction to you, but part two is now let's get down to the talk. Now this is not a beginner show, and we apologize. If you are listening and you have questions, go ahead, and we'll be more than more than
happy to ask anything. Answer anything you ask. Blah 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 blah.
We'll be helpful, and we will answer questions. Now I'm able to kind of follow you, but I want to slow you down and backtrack because I know that not everyone's as quick as I am, because I have spoke with you about these things. Zero now there was an original 36 because you are
36, but there's been a few since I've been backborn in the flesh that have been continuously slowly making themselves. So as time goes on,
is this a convergence where a lot of those creator energies are coming back to participate in some kind of a new creation?
Well, a lot of the times what the main energies, the ancients as I call them, normally have disputes among themselves, and they'll use, say, a reality or numerous physical realities to where they'll get together and they'll meet and they'll have games to decide what happens from one to another, to solve disputes, to say what happens next, to just have that say and that right of being in charge. Is just a way to keep us slowly going, just dumb little games to help ourselves go. And every once in a while, that maybe so many centuries or so many lifetimes, by that I mean like a lifetime of a planet and then reborn and on again, these beings will meet up, take some sort of a form in the universe, and literally have some sort of a conflict in order to try to decide something, which literally does affect the state of everything going forward.
Yes. Here we got a question.
Yes, I was born with most of the knowledge that I was, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. It's I have memories of when I was a kid and a lot that happened to me. You kind of need to see part one to understand a little better. Because the best way to describe me is I was a research specimen by numerous governments that was also an old soul reborn. If I was an ascended master, I've fallen from grace because I'm not quite at that level anymore, if I ever was. But with the amount of knowledge I have on the universe and how things go, I must have been fricking at least a teacher somewhere. Um, I was literally have so many memories of lifetime after lifetime after lifetime that I have experienced, and it turns into just too much for me to handle sometimes. My body will actually freak out from the energy that comes into it. And heck, physicians don't even know how to describe it. But I know what's going on. It's a storm. I'm able to directly tap into certain energies and be able to relay them into information directly through a multidimensional facet, having this person who you see before you be the physical conduit of such energies. And that is a little difficult to grasp.
Yeah.
So I've kind of always been aware. When I was young, I saw the universe for how it was. I was able to see ghosts and dead before they put me on meds. That actually just started destroying some of that when I was younger. That well, my life has been a very complex and polluted mess.
Okay, let's take it back. So I believe that I have known you before this lifetime. Um, when I
Some
was a
people
little
are
girl.
born with memories and knowledge. Um, to put things more plainly to our viewers in particular, when it comes to certain energies, you're either a piece, a part, a whole. Either you're a part of this and a part of this. You're a blank, which means you have a physical vessel and just enough to get you through, but none of it is directly connected to some of the others. It can either mean because you're a newer energy or it's been siphoned away from you, because we constantly battle for such energies with each other on a regular basis. I mean, we're multidimensional beings. We exist in the physical and spiritual, at least simultaneously, constantly. And some of the things that happen to us spiritually can affect us mentally and create mental health problems for a lot of individuals. It can create angers, and it can affect the actual physical real world, because just those energies and how they flow and how they're affected by each of us, and then the energies we send off in return, creates domino effects, potentially causing damage to people down the line, even though it's just maybe, you know, for fun, somebody decided to manifest something negative for someone just as a joke, not really meaning anything, but more than enough that down the line, then it actually happens due to the fact of just annoying enough of the right people down the line. Energy manifestation is very deep, and it's physically going on with all of us. And I think that would be much help to try to calm down everyone for a lot of things, because we're delving deeper and deeper into these technologies. And yeah, it is creating certain technopathic beings which have psychic connections with technology, but we're losing something we've always had, even though you're not allowed to know that human beings have always been psychic. We've always been able to connect to each other. We are like an ant colony, psychically connected, one being to another, from our auras, our energies, and how they flow together. And all our combined knowledge is known as the library, which somebody can tap into.
Okay, let's that totally fascinates me. Um, I can't keep up.
I know I'm a lot for many people to deal with.
Okay, so you are like a computer. Your mind thinks like a computer. You have unlimited amounts of information. Now, I want to take it back to where when I first met you, the amount of psychic abilities and information that you were able to stream in or tap into blew my mind. You knew things like I probably said this on the first show. You knew things about me that no one has ever known, and you were able to tell me those things. And then, like, we went on some ghost hunting investigations, and you were able to.
Call out the ghosts, and they were just calling me a tattletale through
Oh,
every
you were
bit.
the.
Like tattletale.
Yeah,
It was
they
funny.
did not like you.
No, they did not. It's because I could hear them directly instead of having to wait to hear it through a device. I could directly hear them.
Yeah. So, and the camera picked up every time you would say, like, did you hear that? And I wouldn't, and the camera did. So
Mhm.
the reason I'm saying that is because I'm verifying that you are who you say you are. You are the real deal. Okay. Um, Having said that, um, I think that one of the reasons why I'm trying to do these shows is to let people know about you and bring you forward. It's like you've kind of been in hiding, and it's like that the
Oh
time
yeah.
is now for you to come forward. Now we also talked about you being okay, coming out of zero. There was one, two. Yes,
Yeah.
Land Writer, Paranormal Investigations. That's kind of where we started hanging out and doing those things. Um, so coming from zero, there you had said you were what number? 13, 19? I'm not
I'm six.
six.
Six, just as it says right there.
That's right. Now, through speaking to you and kind of realizing what the connection we have, it's come to light that I possibly am three. Okay. The reason why I don't know, I don't remember how we came to that, but when I was with a friend and we were doing what's called a spirit box where the spirits come through and they talk to you. And one of the questions that I had said was, who's here? And then they said three's here. And so I've had some confirmation on three. I can't remember how we came to that conclusion, but when I had my past lives done, um, she did indicate that I'm ancient, 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 and that my soul has been around, and I have helped create numerous civil universes. Okay, so I'm right along there
You're
with you.
responsible for numerous branches. Three is the essence of magic itself, the power of manifestation as a whole. You being able to physically do something or move, that's three's jurisdiction. Each of the numbers, as they created themselves, created a new law to how everything functioned, as well as had a main power that they could use and others could use. And, mine is time. Yours is literally manifesting.
So, and then when I had Reiki done, and I had some the Reiki instructor do an attunement on me, she saw an ancient icon standing behind me that literally blew her mind. Blew her mind. And when I asked who it was, I got the word Hathor, and that's an ancient Egyptian, um, you know, Earth Mother or Sky Mother or whatever. What is this? Is there a highest? Oh, okay. So let's tell them about the different numbers that.
Well, the best way to describe it is the numbers are the original sentient energies that were created after zero. Zero would be the best description of God. The universe is a lot more complicated than a lot of religions. The best way to describe it is numerous religions got certain parts right and certain parts wrong. Nobody has the true right answer. Not a single being, because it's too hard for the basic mind to grasp. It's too hard for even me to grasp half the freaking time. Um, the number just represents how many true beings like that have created themselves. Each one would be considered a child of God or an angel or certain types of prophets. Each one is a different being in and of themselves, and they just slowly create themselves over time with what is. And we continue and grow as a whole.
Because now you're blowing my mind, Mark. Six is how many was the how many were the initial branch? Wasn't there 36?
No, the original branch was only three. The original first branch was only three. And the three is a very powerful number. From there, every three beings normally constitutes an entire branch of reality to themselves to try to keep them a little more cushy, except for in those lifetimes that they connect. each branch, would you say, is a different reality based off of choices, actions? Say over here, I decided to go left. Over here, I decided to go right, and then each and every, and how it continues on, and it's just a wide connecting omniverse. It's not a multiverse. It's a pocket of multiverses flowing into one. Is the true spiritual reality of the omniverse of the universe. And it
Okay,
gets
so let's no,
big.
let's slow down a little bit. The first was three. There was one, two, and three. Now, what was one?
One, I don't even remember all the freaking energies that each one is responsible for. There's been a lot of them that I don't remember the names of all 36. I remember their
Okay.
energies. I remember lifetimes
So
with them.
three
But I don't
went to
remember
six, six went to
that.
nine, or whatever,
For the
or
most
three
part,
went.
in the beginning of the universe, there was literally just zero by himself, nothing else. He's the one that created a energy ripple that started the expansion of all existence, and then
Oh,
from his expansion, the other numbers created themselves within that field that was being set forth. Without that original field, they could not have created themselves and or have existed in the first place.
okay. Well, that makes more sense. Now we talked about them all being here now, or some of them are here now because there is a new, like this is the ending of one of the creations. Is there numerous possibilities to where this creation can go at this time, or is it set in stone?
It's not quite set in stone because you got to keep in mind we're in the place where anything can happen. I mean, it's unlikely in a lot of cases, and the manifestation of the mass creates what happens. And if you control the manifestation of the mass, then you control all reality. But anything could happen. You could just
Okay.
have one chaotic event lead to something peaceful or something destructive. It just depends on how each of us take it, and it connects energy wise through the whole. If one of us does a complete freak out, somebody else somewhere does a complete freak out because they feel those same energies, and it just turns into a cycle. You put the hate into it, you're going to get hate out. If you put the love into it, hopefully you get the love out. But a lot of people are breeding the hate into it.
Okay, so are there different timelines, or because from what I understand, all the
Yes.
timelines are merging right now, and and
That's
then they could branch
actually
out into all different
what they're trying to do
realities.
right now, and what we're in the major storm of, is in the past, I don't know, I'd say 80 years, there's been a lot of time travel and people changing time itself, creating butterfly effect, Mandela effects all the time. And a lot of these branches are connecting simultaneously. They're trying to stop all time from flowing past a certain point in order to stop these abnormalities and get the time flow back on track before it literally breaks apart. And yeah, it's not quite fun. And if it does destroy, the space time goes to shit, and we start flowing very strangely for a while there until it reforms itself in a different way into a new being almost entirely, even though it will be the same exact being. Thus is the universe.
Can you tell us, is CERN even a threat, or is it doing something, or what is CERN? Do you
There's
know?
a lot of groups. There's a lot of little things like that are doing some major issues. You mean the one that's looking for alien life? No, that's SETI.
It's that
Um,
machine in Switzerland that's trying to open portals or something.
yeah, no, that can create some major damage if not done properly. You're going to literally create wormholes, and it's just going to be like the Manhattan Project.
Oh, tell us
And
about that.
well, during the Manhattan Project, they ended up trying to make an invisibility device. What they didn't realize is they actually changed the vibrations of everything, which made them flow into another universe entirely. During that experience, their original universe they came from got destroyed as a new one was created simultaneously, creating much damage to the space time continuum.
Can you explain what a space-time continuum is?
Space time continuum is it's almost like fabric type of energy. It's what keeps it's a memory foam of what happened, because as we go forward each existence, you can go back and forth within that generalized rule, but as you go into it, it creates another subline trying to change things. In order to actually go back to your own time period, you have to be either super intelligent or lucky to be able to transfer from one over to another to affect your own entire universe. Otherwise, everything you do in that affected time, when you go back, will not change anything.
Okay, what is time?
Time is literally the essence of being. It's time is something that both lives and dies constantly as it flows. It's an energy source. It's
You know how I experience time? I experience time like a roller coaster ride and just flowing like an experience one after another, and almost like a domino, boom boom boom, almost like snapshot snapshot
mhm.
snapshot,
A
almost like
picture in this world, a picture in this world. This is different highlights of, say, this lifetime or this lifetime or this lifetime. But once you're outside of time, you can hop in anywhere within it, change and flow things. And because of that ability, it can be very dangerous to do so. And because of people going back and doing damage, who knows what's going to happen now?
are we in one big brain? Like, is the universe inside of a big brain, or a big, like, inside your, is it just one big computer where people can jump in and program it and move it and change it, or is it?
In a sense, yes, but it's made of energy and matter. That energy literally condenses itself down and becomes the matter. You know, positive and negative. It's the same thing as ones and zeros. It's just how it's formed. In a sense, yes, but it does physically matter. You do feel pain. We experience constantly,
Well,
no
is
matter.
it because we're in this um, organic bodysuit that we can, that it feels more like real as opposed to just like a mind trip? Like, is reality really just
That
like
still
a
has a
mind?
lot to do with, you know, just the experience and existence of a being. Sentient energy can pretty much flow into anything it desires if it's aware enough to do so. Um, and as I said, it takes different steps of awareness to get to that point.
Okay, so like, I'm sure there's numerous other universes and galaxies with planets just like this,
Yeah,
and each planet, whatever, would have their own kind of bodysuit, or is there, and so therefore you have those aliens, or would there be what do we've got here? I should be back in some time from now. Okay, so we've got different bodysuits for different planets, or are some of those just like a mind type of experience, energy that's more less dense? Like, so is there a
depends on the species
multitude of
you're talking
experiences?
about. Both are possible to actually have some sort of physical life. There's beings entirely made of energy that are living. Um, they're just not here. I mean, life can evolve in numerous different ways, and each of those bodysuits, as said, is a different energy. They don't even like us leaving planet. I mean, from my understanding, they have a machine somewhere underground. Our planet's not flat; it's not hollow, but there's a lot of cave systems being created by certain individuals and aliens that live on planet for different bases and things, and creating a wider and wider and deeper network. There are certain natural caves that do go pretty deep, but most of them are kept hidden because some of the gem sources are just kind of unfathomable, just how huge and powerful some of these gems are. They could be used for old world type technologies if we actually had the appropriate blueprints, but at this point we don't quite. I mean, most gym techs does not exist anymore. You can't just get a geo, design an engine around it, and build a spaceship anymore. I mean, that knowledge was lost with the Atlanteans.
Okay, so we got a few minutes left in this section, and then we're going to come back because we've got a good chunk of the night where we're trying to get information out. But in this segment, we've got a couple more minutes. Now, you have a message about people getting along and people to stop hating, and how everybody's human and they're all having their own human experiences, and how to stop judging and things. And what is that message that you have that's so important that you want to speak to us right now?
The message I really wanted to speak to tonight was about a potential future that I see. I explained it a little bit earlier tonight about the clones after we become mutants. It's the Immortality Project. In the Immortality Project, they're literally sending their consciousness back in time to older vessels, taking away their original existence, again, flowing with the effects of time, as they're physically living in another world simultaneously. That's a far future. That's extremely dark. And if we're able to change that entire time flow, it would stop certain individuals from going through literal, unspeakable hells on a daily basis, because that's what their reality is. Even though they're viewing things in a past time, they're not. After we become clones in the future, I know this will happen. Be warned, do not go into the Immortality Project. If you go into the Immortality Program, you're going to be doomed. You're going to be eating your friends and family. Don't fucking go for that. World needs to know that.
Well,
it's when not what you think it is. It's
you're speaking of an immortality project program
in the future.
In the future, when is this? Is it in our lifetime?
No. Oh, hell no. In our lifetime, we won't even, we'll barely start seeing the effects of some of the mutations. It'll take another few thousand years before we realize, oh shit, we're not human anymore. In fact, some of us are turning into very grotesque, creepy things. And then we're going to start having to clone. It's going to be bad.
We've got a question.
Well, in the people that are connected into this far future in a date that's no longer 4 digits, it's like, I believe 12 different digits at this point, starting with a 4. There's no resources left. The Immortality Project is literally putting you inside a computer system and making you forget everything and make you think you're in a time period you're not in, as you're literally connecting with their specialized technology to your past selves as kind of a blueprint, as what to show you as there's no resources left. They're creating wars. I mean, I want to stop that potential future from becoming a reality in the first place. And the best way to do it is just warn everybody about that program, the Immortality Program, or Phoenix, as they're going to call it.
It's called Phoenix?
It's either going to be called Phoenix or something Immortality, and it's pretty much they're going to hook you up to computers. Don't have to worry about things. Upload your consciousness into a computer, and then
but I believe that's already happening. Just so you know,
your physical body. It's a sham. It's a lie, and it's going to kill people. It's going to destroy humanity.
I believe that's already happening. Okay, so let's wrap this up for the viewers out there. This was part 2, and Six had a lot on his mind that he wanted to let us know. We're going to start up with part 3 in just a few minutes. And we're going to take
a 15-minute break at least?
We are going to take a 15-minute break, and then we're going to start up with part 3. In part 3, Side Chick meaning me, gets to ask some more questions and get some more really cool stuff. So let's wrap this up for now. And I want to thank the viewers and the questions. Oh, what's this?
It'll be after that technology is created. That's one of the precursor technologies, and somebody down the line after his death is going to abuse that technology and try to make a better future and fall flat on their face trying to make things better. This will be long after him.
Okay, I've got some really great questions for part 3. So let's wrap this up. Everybody, thank you so much. And go ahead and shoot your questions. This live stream is going to end, but you can go ahead and shoot your questions over to either Mark or myself on our YouTubes. And we'll talk to you in part 3 in just a few minutes. Have a great night, and we'll see you in just a bit.